Five, four, three, two, one. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Coach Scott Fields, and welcome to another edition of the Coach Scott Fields Show. First of all, we got to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Gosh, you guys are so amazing, and the essential things that you do for us every day. You deserve more than one day a year to be celebrated. You should have a day every month and a day every week. We love you, we honor you, and we cherish you. So happy Mother's Day to all those out there from yesterday, as this is the first episode since Mother's Day. Thrilled and excited to welcome Mike James, my friend, to the show today. And before we get started, please like and follow our show page. Keep those reactions and emojis coming throughout the show. Also, send in your questions and your comments, and we'll make sure that either during the show or at the end of the show, we have an opportunity to respond to those. But Mike, if you would like, please, lead us in prayer.
Oh, for sure. I would love to. Father, thank you for this opportunity to be in your presence. You said when two or more are gathered in your presence that you are amongst us. Holy Spirit, you are welcome in this place. I pray that this message today and this meeting today will be edifying not only to ourselves but to the ones that are listeners that are listening to this message. And I pray that it bless a lot of people, Father, today. So allow you to be used in this opportunity, Father. It's entertainment, it's fun, but at the same time, it's all about growing and sharing in the goodness of you. So we thank you for just another opportunity and the platform, and allow it to be used in your name, in your Son name, Jesus Christ. We praise you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mike James, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who do not know Mike, and if you're the younger generation who lives on YouTube, let me tell you, this relationship goes back a long time. I was blessed that I got to coach against him in Austria back in 1998. I had a lot more hair back then, and Mike has made a lot more jumpers since then. So, Mike, welcome to the show. Thank you for starting off in a prayer. And come on, let's talk about it. Duquesne, top 10 in scoring, top 5 in assist, and all-time leader in steals for Duquesne. How about that?
You know, the funniest story about my Duquesne career is my freshman year. John Carroll, he brought me in. You know, first of all, I signed my letter of intent. Well, I didn't even sign a letter of intent. It was like the end of the summer. It was going into September. You know, the school year is about to start. Orientations are in like two weeks, and so he brought me in. I played against the top guards, and I outplayed them. Played well. He took me in his office. He said, "Mike, listen, I can't like give you a scholarship to like sign because it's too late in the year. I'm gonna give you this piece of paper. You call this person. Trust me." He said, "Trust me. Come through on this date. You have a scholarship. Just know you're all right." And I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, is this some type
Wow.
of scheme or something? But yeah, this was my introduction. And going to Duquesne, John Carroll told me my freshman year, I was the worst basketball player he's ever seen in basketball. He said he would rather have a walk on start before me, and he's the worst. I had the worst jump shot that he's ever laid eyes on. Ironic, fast forward, he gets fired, and that year he gets fired. That's next year I was second team All Atlantic 10, and fast forward even more, my third year in the NBA, I was the starting point guard for the Boston Celtics. He was my head assistant coach. So, and,
Great story.
and so, you know, I used to look at it like, wow, here it is. This man told me I am the worst basketball player that he's ever seen play the game of basketball, but I'm in the NBA right now, and I'm a starting point guard in the NBA, and this guy has to rebound for me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh man, who has the last laugh now, right?
Oh man, but you know what? I never was spiteful. I was always respectful. You know, it hurt me because you don't tell a kid that's aspiring to do anything in life that they can't be something. You don't tell them, you don't break a kid in order to build them up. And I
I
think
agree.
that's where a lot of coaches get it wrong is they think that if I break him down mentally and rebuild him, then I'm gonna make him a better and more of a complete athlete. But what they don't understand is the mind is stronger than the body. So if you break a person, you think you can build them up physically, you can build muscle, but you don't know how much scar tissue you have mentally inside of them that they haven't dealt with. So here you are, you have an insecure Hulk.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100% because I think of all my times, and you may remember how energetic and positive I was on the sideline, clear back in those Austrian days. But I never had that dinosaur belief that you break somebody down to build them up because, again, fragile egos, self-confidence is very, very fragile. It's tough it's harder to build up than it is to tear down. Trust me.
Some of the greatest athletes come from broken homes, and you never know. That's probably the thing that makes them as good as they are is trying to escape their reality. And
Yeah.
then and every kid is different, no one is the same, and that's the reason why it's so hard with analytics in a game like basketball, because basketball is such a it's such a it's such a you have it, what improv is such an improv.
Yeah,
You're not going to do two things the same way.
that's
And
right.
there's so much instinct into it. And in analytics, that's the average, and that's what you're going to get over and over and over again. And so that's why it's so hard, because you can mess up. You can put somebody that can be a diamond in the rough, and they can get caught up in the statistics based off what this person did and what this person didn't do. And you put that person in the middle, but you don't know. You might have the next best thing, but you done broke him and tore him down and told him he ain't amounting to nothing. So because of analytics, now he's underneath the bench instead of becoming the next superstar in the game, and not because you don't have a feel for the game and you're going off stats.
What 100%. I agree with that. It's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, you know what? And to me, Charles Barkley kind of says, analytics and, blah, blah, blah. But as coaches, it's our job to put players in a position to be successful. And it's your hard work and your repetition and your desire that's going to create those stats. So if we can put you in that position to put positive numbers and have proficiency ratings, then we've done our job as coaches. Now, can stats be used to help you with some decisions? Yeah, but it's, people can take things and extract things to fit their need. And I believe that. But as coaches, man, it's all about you as the players. You put the players first, you put the relationships first, you build that player up, and you put them in a position to be successful. So I'm glad to hear you share that with us.
You know what the worst stat in basketball to me is per 48 minutes.
Oh, right. Right.
Because now you're going to say that if this kid was to play 10 more minutes or 15 more minutes, they'll be able to average 30 points, or they'll be able to average this much. They'll be able to average this much more based off of what they're doing in a short period of time.
Right.
Are you serious?
Yeah. No one has a crystal ball that can emulate that.
The same exact stats that he gave you in 9 minutes.
Yeah, right. Oh man. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, Mike James is speaking from experience. Mike James is speaking from the heart. He's faith-based. His story of perseverance is outstanding, and we can all evolve and grow and learn listening to Mike James. He's played for multiple NBA teams. He won an NBA championship in 2004 with the Pistons, and we're blessed and honored and humbled to be able to have him here on the Coach Scott Field Show with us today. Again, 1998, you're undrafted. You spend a little bit of time through minor leagues. You go over to FIBA, then you get your break with the Miami Heat. I think of some of the players that you were able to play with throughout your illustrious career, because it's a lengthy career and you play with multiple teams. But when you finally got your shot with the Heat before, it was Celtics, then the Heat and Celtics. What were some of the veteran players who took you under their wing and were kind of mentors for you as you were trying to navigate through an NBA season?
One of my brothers, LaFonso Ellis, he was, a great Christian man. Uh, I looked up to him as a brother, a mentor early in my career. Uh, Brian Grant, there was somebody
Oh,
that was also, you know, early in my career, those first couple of years in Miami, that these were like real professionals. Even though we was in probably the wildest city in all of NBA basketball, it was a great group of mature men. And so that's what made it so much easier to deal with, because instead of talking about where we're going to hang out after the after practice, we trying to figure out where we're going to do Bible studies, and we're trying to
nice.
figure out. And so, you know, God always he blessed me because he brought the people that I needed in order to help me grow in such a tough environment.
Wow, that's I love hearing that because I think about, the Antoine Walkers, the Paul Pierces, my goodness, playing with Chauncey Billups there with the Pistons, Rasheed Wallace, Antonio McDyess, and then it goes down the list, with Chris Bosh with the Raptors, KG with the Timberwolves. I mean, so you've had great talent around you, and you as the point guard, you helped, you know, set the stage for those great players. And you think of your defensive prowess and your ability to anticipate and make steals. Uh, what were some of the things that you learned from some of those great players being around them that probably reiterated your mental toughness already, because you've already been told, no, you're a horrible shooter. No, you can't play at this league, but yet you always persevered and found a way. Yeah, you were blessed, but you worked hard and you dedicated yourself. But being around some of those top players, what did you take from them?
Um, I was just as good as them.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, it gave me confidence to believe that the front office thinks one way of me, but my peers kind of fear me. So it was like, wait a minute, like these guys, they don't go to the club night before a game when they play against me. It was just that the front office treated me like I was a third or fourth. I'm a third or fourth string guard, and so I had to fight that. That was the thing I had to fight my whole career, was convincing the front office, no, move me up on that board, take me out of the yellow jersey, and you know, but my peers, you know, that was never the issue. My peers respected me and they knew the talent and the skill level, but it doesn't matter because the guy that the front office believes in is the one playing, and I'm the one getting the DNP. You know, and I think that that was the most difficult part for me, is that because I think it felt like my career was held against me going to Duquesne, being undrafted, them, and I'm thinking to myself like, wow, I'm doing exactly what they're doing, and yet I'm not getting the same praise. I'm not getting the same praise. And I'm like, why does my past have to do with anything with what I'm doing in my present and what I can do for a team? But yet, you know, time and time, it always showed me that, you know, where your alma mater is, and but it's in anything. Most of the time, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and you know, and it's unfortunate. So there's politics and everything. And if you get caught up in the politics, hey, that's just the way it goes. And so some people's stories is different, other people's stories. So through it all, you know, I'm grateful. I have gratitude, but I worked hard. I worked hard because I expected myself to play a certain type of way. And like, I almost wanted to be perfect out there. Like, I knew I couldn't be perfect, but I was so surprised when I missed. You
Mm.
know, when I lost the ball, I was so shocked at myself. Like, wait a minute, whoa. Okay, something ain't right. The ball must be whopped. You know, like, it's not me. I must have let some wind in because I'm busting my tail too hard every single day to, and it's not really it's not really busting my tail to to just do it, is to do it so when I step on the court, I know when I'm dribbling, I'm gonna get exactly where I'm supposed to get to on the.
Right to your spots.
I
Yeah.
know they used to always be like, Mike, you always shooting all the balls. You shoot too much. What do you mean? I'm shooting hundreds of shots every single day. I know I'm not hoping this ball go in. I know this ball is going to go in. And so because of that, my confidence is just as high as a LeBron James, a Chauncey Billups. like they draw up the play, and I'm ready to take the last shot. And I got Dirk Nowitzki on my team. I got I got superstars on my team, but I'm like, listen, guys, I got this. All right.
Yeah. Well, where does that confidence come from? And of course, as coaches, we know, because we see the hours and hours of work behind the scenes, before practices, the player development, the thousands of shots to get the muscle memory, to get the mechanics down. But for you, where did that confidence come from, knowing that, hey, when I let it go, I know it's going in?
I was good. Like I was a pretty good basketball player.
That's right.
And, you know, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So imagine if you're talented and you work hard. Oh my goodness. Ain't no telling what's going to come out of that equation. And so I was curious. I wanted to know what that was going to be like. I wanted to, like, when I played in the game, I felt worse. I was one of those players that I hate to lose more than I love to win.
Yes.
And so because of that, I can take a win easier than I can take a loss. And it's not about playing great. It's about what did I do wrong that I wasn't able to allow my team to come through victorious. So I put so much pressure on myself. You know, my wife is like, you're so hard on yourself. You're too hard on yourself. And I'm just like, it's not that I'm too hard on myself. I expect too much from myself. You know, I have a great game. They'll talk about I have 35, 10 assists, and I have this great game. And I'm thinking about the free throws I missed. I'm thinking about, you know, I threw a pass, like I got to get the alley-oop together on the back door, or I got to make sure that I see this play open up quicker. So it was never about the good plays. It was always about the plays that I got wrong. And so I was always trying to find room. I didn't want to praise my good. You know, so people always like, man, you're so hard on yourself. They be like, Mike, you played great tonight, man. I missed 4 free throws, and I had 3 turnovers, man, whatever. Like, and they'll be like, dude, what is wrong with you? Because why am I going to sit there and praise my good? It's about trying to get better. And if it's about getting better, it's not about, did you see my move last night? Did you see how I hit him with that move? And that was a good move, wasn't it? No, I'd rather talk about that bad play. I'd rather talk about the air ball. I'd rather talk about me throwing the ball into the third row. You know, that makes that, because now I want to make sure I don't make that same mistake again.
See, and as a head coach, we love to have the mindset that you're sharing right now from our point guard and our leaders. Every championship team always has a quality point guard, and you've been that quality point guard throughout your entire career. That mindset that you're talking about is what's setting you and thousands of other point guards apart from each other, because you always strive to get better. No one's going to put more pressure on you than you were going to put on yourself. And that's that drive. That's that competitive nature. That's the mindset that I hope young players can hear from your passion, saying, I want to get better. I want to evolve. How can I make my teammates better? I know this shot's going in. I know I can get this post entry pass into Rasheed. That's what I hear from what you're sharing with me. Where did that mindset come from? Was it instilled in you early in your childhood, or was it something that you picked up from various coaches? Because I love tapping into that. Where'd that come from for you?
You know, I was such a kamikaze. You know, coming from Long Island and playing against city guards my whole adolescence years, I picked up that city mentality. And being from Long Island, they wouldn't respect me at first. It was always like, man, you from Long Island, get out of here. You a suburban kid. So it made me go extra hard. It made me extra angry on the basketball court. It made me extra tough. You know, the New York chip I already had that New York state of mind. But as a Long Island guard, I'm sitting there, I got to prove to the Stephon Marburys and the Rafer Alstons, I'm just as good as y'all, or better. And so it was an even bigger chip. You know, they had the cockiness and the arrogance of the boroughs. I had the back of Long Island. I had Long Island on my back. So I had to represent that. I was representing the island while they're talking about their borough. I'm like, listen, I'm nicer than all of y'all, and I'm a suburban kid. So that chip was early. You know,
Yeah.
I think that it was coaches that was able to hone it with me. There's three coaches that made statements in my life that stuck with me my whole career and my whole life experience as a person. And Scott Edgar, he was the coach that came in after John Carroll. And he used to always make the statement. He used to try to make us throw up. He used to try to hurt us. And he would always make the statement, fatigue will make a punk out of you. Fatigue will make a punk out of you. And I used to always think to myself, because I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So, you know, I'm always walking around just, and everybody, they used to call me the angry hooper. I'm so intense. And I made the statement to myself, I'm not a punk. So if I'm not a punk, I'm not even going to allow fatigue to get the best of me. So I realized and I learned fatigue is just a mindset. Like when you're able to put the body under control of the mind, you can make the body go further and more and longer distances because the body wants to quit. The body doesn't really want to work hard. But then when the mind forces it and makes it form into a certain type of, no, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. Well, then the body is going to submit to it and it's not going to fight you as much. And so I learned that fatigue is nothing more than a mindset. So I was able to overcome fatigue by basically, I'm not a punk. So I'm never going to allow myself to get tired in the game. The last 5 minutes, I would play harder. And we running a mile, the last mile, I run faster. Anytime when I'm supposed to start allowing fatigue to start allowing me to get softer, to get weaker, to start slowing down, something will click inside my mind and say, you can't fall to fatigue. So now, in order to fight fatigue and beat fatigue up, you got to go extra harder than what you've already been doing, knowing that you're about to fall out. Well, then you shouldn't be doing it then, but you're not going to fall to fatigue. And my rookie year, Pat Riley, he made this statement on the basket. He made this statement to us. He was giving us a speech. He was the greatest motivational speaker I've ever heard, ever. You know, there was so many times I wanted to wipe away tears and like,
wow.
I'm running to this wall right now. But I used to go into it before the game, like, man, what is this guy about to talk about? He can't get me today. And then afterwards, I'm like, okay, you got me. Like, okay.
Riles.
Make the statement. The way you respect the ball player is by not respecting them at all. And I looked up I was, you know, my head was down and I'm listening to him talk. And when he made that statement, I looked up and I was like, okay, that makes sense. I don't respect no basketball players no more. And that shows how much I respect them. Mm-hmm. It's by how little respect that I'm going to give you on this basketball court. You're going to have to earn every ounce of respect from me. I'm going to scratch you. I'm going to push you. I'm going to punch you. I'm going to make you want to fight me. And it has nothing to do with, we can go to dinner later on. Yep. But you're trying to win, so am I. And my thing was, the point guard position, we cool at this position. You ain't got to worry about my man. Like, I'm going to outplay my position. It ain't going to be because of me we lose this game. I'm going to make sure I outplay, and my stats is going to be across the line at a certain level. And Larry Brown, when we won the championship, he used to scream it. I mean, Larry Brown probably used to say these words at least 20 times a day. Play the right way. Play the right way. Play the right way. Play the right way. And I will sit there and just, it's embedded in our rings. Play the right way. That's how much he said it. But I always be like, what does that mean? And I said, that means if the pass is there, pass it. If the shot is there, shoot it. Don't bring no negative emotions and feelings on the basketball court. If you got a problem with your teammate, deal with that after the game or before the game. But during the game, there should be nothing negative. There should be nothing that's going to steer your emotions one way or the other, but the right way to play. And that's it. leave the emotions out the game and just play the right way. And so those are like, when I think about coaches, those are the three things that have stood out in my head that a coach has said that has stuck with me my whole career and also my whole life. Play the right way, live the right way. You know, do the right thing. These things all don't allow no one to strike fear in you in nothing. You learn, and so I live by those words, you know, that those coaches embedded in me.
See, and I hear a lot of life lessons and a lot of core values coming from those sentiments. And trust me, I was prepared. I have a list of questions that I was ready to ask you, and you've already brushed upon some of those. And to think that the things that you picked up from Larry Brown, the things that you picked up from Pat Riley, great basketball minds. I love hearing that because it reinforces a lot of things that I believe in that I teach when I'm coaching, but yet I sit there and hear you passionately talk, and it's just like the same things that we're hearing when many of us around the world right now are watching The Last Dance with Michael Jordan and Michael Jordan's mindset. I hear you emulating a lot of those same things, and that's why you've had such a great career. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is the coach Scott Fields, and we're with Mike James. I love the conversation that we're having with Mike. He is breaking it down for you, what it takes to compete at the highest levels that he's competed at. He has an NBA championship ring, and he's being so selfless right now to share this knowledge and wisdom with you all here today. So we're blessed to have him. Mike, you know, you talked about playing and out on the playgrounds. At that point and then getting into the NBA, who were the players that challenged you the most? Not that you respected them, but yet who did you look at on the calendar when that schedule came out saying, okay, I'm ready for this game. I want to measure myself against this guy. Who were some of those guys, whether from the streets first and then in the NBA? Who were some of those guys that you could not wait to measure your skill set against?
You know what? There's only one player that really gave me problems when I was in the league, and that was Baron Davis.
Oh,
BD.
BD.
The toughest player to me that I played against. But I never really had problems because the one thing that I was going to test first wasn't just skill level, but it was your heart and it was your will and it was your energy and it was your motor. You know, I was going to test those things, that athleticism, skill level, you know, God-given gifts, we throwing those things out the window. You know, like those are not I'm not going to compete against those things because you might be better than me in those areas. But the area that I know that you might not be as good as me is, you might not be as strong mentally as me. You might not be as tough as me. You might not. So if I can take away, if I can take away the mental, if I can play a mental game with you and have you on a whole nother level thinking that way, you're no longer thinking about your skill level. You're no longer thinking about your God-given gift. You're trying to figure out, how can I get this moron off me right now? Absolutely bothering me, and I want to punch him in his face, but I know if I punch him in the face, he might do something back. And so that right there always made them say, you know what? I'm just going to leave him alone and just let him be, and just let me just drip my sweat on him. And so that's how I approach the game. I got to take your comfortableness away from the game, you know, because when you're comfortable, you think different, you know, you're able to relax into your shot. You're able, but if I speed you up now and I make you think at a rhythm and play at a rhythm that you're not used to, now that shot is quicker. Now the speed that you're normally playing, now you're getting the ball up the court in 4 seconds, where before you used to get the ball up the court in 7 seconds. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make you play at that speed the whole time I'm in the game. So you're no longer thinking about your rhythm. You're trying to figure out how you can get me, how you can slow me down or fatigue me. But in my head, I'm not a punk, so I'm not going to get tired. Like I could do this all day, baby. Yeah. Like I'm looking at it like how I start the first quarter. I basically I set the tone, but then I come back in the second half and I go extra hard to let you know, no, it's like I wasn't just doing this just for a facade or like an adrenaline thing. I'm doing this to get you out of your rhythm and keep you out of your rhythm. I don't want you to even get comfortable at all.
Yeah, see, I love that because what I hear you saying, you're talking about the intangibles of the game. And those intangibles, you can't do analytics and quantify on that. And man, that heart, that grit, that toughness, that dog in you, those are things that make coaches great coaches because man, what I have loved to have you lead my teams out there just because of that grit and that dog in you. And if I can get my son to get some of that dog in him, woo!
Funny story. I was playing against Steve Nash one night,
Oh,
and I used to love playing against Steve Nash. Like I have some like my career. If we was to go back, if we was to go to Google and look at like career stats against Steve Nash, I'm probably averaging like 25, 27, like 8, 9, like it was like, hey Steve, like it's trouble for you tonight, buddy. And I remember this one particular game. He was bringing the ball up the court, and I got an 8-second count against him. And the next play, I got another 8-second count against him, but the refs didn't call it. And so this is when he was with the Lakers. He was old now. And so this was old Steve Nash. And so Dwight Howard and Metta World Peace was walking him up the court like bodyguards now. But mind you, he's old, I'm old too, but I'm looking at him like you older than me. So I remember I was picking him up and I saw Dwight Howard and I saw Metta World Peace, and I got mad because I was looking like, oh, y'all think that y'all gonna protect him now? So I tried to get cocky and bust through both of them, and they hit both my shoulders, and I caught like 2 Charlie horses in like. I said, "Ooh, okay, y'all won. I promise you, I will pick him up at half court, and we will not have to do this no more." My bad, guys.
Oh, great story. Great story. With some of the teams that you played with, some of those practices, what practices did you look for the most, and who did you like playing against the most in those practices where you guys would just get after it and get up in each other?
When I was in New Orleans, I didn't play a lot, and but when we used to scrimmage, the scrimmages we would practice, we would scrimmage every day, and he may do a quarter or 2 quarters, or he may do a whole game like situation with stop time, the clock is stopping, so we learn to practice how we gonna play in the game. And so I used to always, this is when I was playing behind Chris Paul, and
yeah,
I really got a chance to see like a Hall of Fame point guard. And I was really impressed with his skill level, his toughness, his meanness. But I used to always tell him like, hey, I know you played 40 minutes tonight, but tomorrow you already know I'm going for 30 in practice. Like, he'd be like, Mike, don't start that. I'd be like, nope, I'm picking you up 94 feet and I'm making sure I go at you. And so those were some of the better practices we used to have. I was in Chicago and, playing with Tom Thibodeau, and we was in training camp, and Tom went and allowed me I couldn't work with the first unit. I only could play with the second unit. And he said, the reason why I didn't want you playing with the first unit is because every time you play with the first unit, you guys blow out the second unit and it's not a game. But every time you play with the second unit, it's either a close game or you guys win by 1-2 points. And so I got caught in the matrix where it was like, what do you mean? I'm not good enough to play. I'm good enough to like keep practice ran at a consistent level, but I'm not good enough to play in the game. Like, wow. I didn't get that part. Like, I'm one of your better players, but I'm only good because I'm a practice player. And so it was difficult, in those times when you're putting in all the work and they're seeing all the work that you're doing, and also they see what you're doing in practice, but it's not equating to minutes in the game. That was probably the toughest part.
Gotcha. Love hearing this kind of stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Coach Scott Fields. You're watching another episode of the Coach Scott Fields Show. We got Mike James on here sharing knowledge with all of you. And I'm going to tell you what, if you guys aren't being a sponge and absorbing this right now, shame on you, because I'm telling you right now, he's bringing it, and I love it, man. This is good stuff. Mike, let's ask you this. You've been able to play with a lot of franchises. I mean, Boston and Miami and Detroit, Milwaukee. Where were you the most comfortable to call home, and where was your favorite place to play? Where do you be like, okay, that's who I am. That's where I felt most at home.
Detroit was home. Detroit was
The
when I
yeah.
went to Miami. Miami won before I signed with Boston. Miami wanted to sign me to a multi-year deal, and I turned down a multi-year deal to sign with Boston and league minimum for a chance. You know, I always felt like Pat Riley was going to treat me like he used to say it. You should be happy you even in the league. I'm the one that found you. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even be here. And so I always felt like he would always think about me like this. And I would never become the player that I believe that I can be in the league based off of, you know, him keeping hit this box that he put me in. Not has nothing to do with my skill level, but everything to do with how I got there. And so I was like, okay, instead of signing, this was probably, you know, I probably made a mistake doing this because guys hold grudges, and you know, the bigger the name is and the bigger the person is, they feel like if you go against, you know, what their belief system is or what they believe for you, then you're in the wrong. And me being a kid, I'm looking for my future. I want a future in this league. I don't want 2-3 years, you know, and then I'm out the league. And so I believe that going to Boston would set me up. And that was my first opportunity to start in the NBA. I was averaging 10 points, 5 assists, you know. And when I got traded to Detroit, it was like I loved those guys, you know, like
Yeah.
it was a family. It was amazing how close and how crazy everyone was. It made me feel sane, you know, like it was so
Like that.
like they were so crazy that it was like I love these guys, like you know, guys did like you know I feel so at home. I feel like I belong with this crazy group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was able to, they embraced me, but they didn't even give me a qualifying offer. They basically said anybody can do what I did. You know,
Wow.
that was basically what they were saying in the front office is that, you know, Mike James, anybody could, you know, play backup point guard to probably a backup, a combination of Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups at that time was one of the top 3 1 and 2 combination at the point guard, 2 guard position in the league at that time. And so they basically said you could bring in anybody to give them guys minutes, but they didn't really understand what they had in front of them. They didn't understand that I was a young bull. I was ready to run through walls for you. Whatever you tell me to do, like I was ready to do it. You know, if you tell me
Yeah.
just like in replacements, go get the ball. I'm going to get the ball. Like, you know, I'm
Yeah.
that guy. I'm coming back, you know, tooth knocked out, bloody nose, but I got the ball. Like,
There you I love it. That's that hard hat, blue collar mentality that is just entrenched into that auto industry atmosphere there in Detroit. And I mean, the bad boys were there, and to think that, you know, you found a home there and won an NBA championship there, got to play with, you know, the guys that you played with, and you guys, I mean, you guys played both ends of the floor and you brought it. That was a fun group to watch, because I enjoyed watching from afar, watching your career going, man, you know what? He's getting after it.
You know what? You know what made us tough? The thing that made us the toughest was that everyone took pride in defense, but we speeded the game up. That's the
Yeah.
reason why it would have been, you know, how they always talk about how fast the game is now. You know, the game is basically played fast on offense, but the game is still slow on defense. And so people are not making people throw cross court passes, and they're not trapping that, you know, the half courts and the baselines and the sidelines, and they're not making the guards turning the guard in the back court 3 times and then you trapping them. You have somebody. And so not only did you have to speed the game, but not only did we speed the game up faster, we made you think quicker. So now you had to make quicker decisions. Your choices had to be quick because you almost had like a tenth or even more of a second less to make a reaction because we coming. There was plays when we was on defense that our defense was so bad, you know what I mean, that we would watch film. We wanted the ball so bad that everybody was basket hanging. Everybody is cheating off their man. It's like 4 people is down at the other court, wide open, like this. Like, listen, we can have dunks for days, but their guards can't. Their guards were blindfolded. They couldn't even see nothing on the basketball court because we put so much pressure on them. They couldn't even see an open man. All they was thinking about was trying not to make a turnover. And
right. Well, yeah. Yeah, because again, you sped up the game. You made them uncomfortable. You got up in them and then made them have to react to your defense. And the thing that I like about that as a defensive-minded coach, defense travels. Sometimes the jump shot won't fall for you, but if you sped that game up and changed the rhythm and got them uncomfortable and didn't allow them to their spots, that's how that defense predicated into good offense for you guys.
We have the record in the 24-second shot clock era for holding teams under. We held 5 teams straight under 70 points.
Wow.
There's no team that was able to do that in that shot clock era, because there's so many great basketball players on teams that you just not going to be able to hold teams under 70 points. But no one could score against us. You know, I remember Carmelo, the Denver Nuggets. We was playing against the Denver Nuggets. Nobody on their team scored 10 points. Nobody on their team was in double figures. Like the highest scorer had like 9 points on their team because we shut down all positions. You know what I mean? Everyone took pride at their position. Ben Wallace, defensive player of the year. Rasheed Wallace, a defensive juggernaut. I mean, Tayshaun Prince. He didn't get the credit that he really deserved. Watching the games watching him play this year while during the pandemic and being able to, because I never really watched the films before, but I'm watching him. I got a different respect for Tayshaun. And I really didn't understand how good he really was. You know, he was a great basketball player, but he was in the shadows of the Rasheeds, of the Chauncey's, of the Rips. So he's the 4th person. He's not even the 4th. He's the 6th person, 5th person to talk about, because they would talk about Ben Wallace before they talk about Tayshaun. But the whole time, Tayshaun's the glue.
Well, you know what? His length, his versatility, he could guard the wing real well, but he could guard multiple positions. Those were some of the assets that he brought to that franchise. But guys just like you who are going to come in and be that dog and get up in you and change that rhythm and pace of the game. That's why, you know, that team was so fun to watch.
Yeah, man, we were great. I remember Rasheed would be like, he'd be like, "You ready?" I'd be like, "Nah, Sheed, hold on. Let us go up and down like 2 times." He'd be like, okay. Then the next time out, he'd be like, "You ready?" We'd be like, "Yeah, we ready." And he'll actually taking the leashes off of me and Lindsay and be like, "Go get him." And then when we used to play, they'll start playing like Pitbull, like growling dog music. As soon as we get subbed in the game, you'll just start hearing like 2 growling dogs, like
Yeah, see, you and Lindsey Hunter never got enough credit, because you guys would get out there, like you said, unleashed and get up in those guys. Man, you were up in their jerseys.
But you know, the funny thing is, Lindsey got more credit than me, and I did the dirty work though.
you turned him in the backcourt to tire him out to turn him to him.
Because I would sit and I would look, I would watch, I would evaluate how the guards are playing, and I would look at him and be like, "Lindsey, he can't go left. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn him like maybe 2 or 3 times in the backcourt, and as soon as he get over half court, I'm gonna reach." I would always, because the half court line and the sideline would always be like another defensive player for me. And I would always gauge it, and I would always turn them, and get him thinking about me turning them. And then all of a sudden, I would try to go for the steal, but I'm trying to make him react on something that I'm doing. It's almost like going to the basket, and if you got a shot blocker, don't foul the player. Just make them double pump. Make them react to your defensive hand. And guess what? The shot blocker's coming. Now they don't even see him coming, and they can't respond to that. And so it was the same thing. I'm gonna make them react to me, but now they can't respond to. Now Lindsey will meet them at the half court line, and he would always get the steal, and Rip Hamilton would always get the basket hang for the layup. And I'll be like, "What do you mean? I did all the benefits." minutes.
Yeah, you did all the hard, dirty work, and then they'd come in from the blind side, get the block, or they come in from the blind side, get the steal. But yet you predicated it by wearing him out and turning him, that you're in their head so much that as soon as he turns, there they were with the steal, and then they're off to the races.
They get the dunks, they get the highlights. See, they don't play my play on the on Sports Center. They play when the steal comes and then the dunk comes. Like
yeah. But you know what I'm hearing, Mike? You were a star in your role. In every franchise that you went to, you were an asset. Now, whether you heard that enough or whether they were able to, share and showcase that enough, man, that's why you had such a long career. You had the longevity because, man, you would get after it and do your thing.
My thing was, you really don't care who I am as a person. You care more about what I'm gonna do on the basketball court. So I'm gonna introduce myself later. I'm gonna show you, that's gonna make you more comfortable with me anyway. It's based off of how I play. Yeah. So if I can get off the plane, like trade, get off the plane. My mindset is already, you know what? I'm not trying to make you like me as a person. I'm trying to make you respect my ball game. Because I know if you respect my ball game, you're gonna like me as a person even more. But if I'm missing free throws at the end of the game and I'm making turnovers, it's going to be a lot of sucking teeth, and it's going to be a lot of why is he even in the game and I'm not playing and da-da-da-da-da. No. So the thing that I'm going to introduce first is my game. And then, hi, I'm Mike, and, my favorite color is red and all that other stuff. I don't care about that. That's not the most important. The most important is, am I going to be able to produce without having no rhythm of this new team?
Yeah. And see, and I look at the things that Mike James, the character, the individual does. I mean, your foundations, your Mike James days, you in the mornings, sharing, biblical verses and things. That's the Mike James that I know. And I can remember meeting you after games at different coliseums around and you would come out, of course you're dressed super nice, you're all cleaned up, but you were so mentally tired because you gave it so much during that time that afterwards it was just a greeting. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Good to see you. Great. Let's have you on the show sometime soon. And you're like, hey, yeah, good to see you, man. How's everything? How's the family? Those are the first questions that always came out of your mouth. And I don't even know if you remember seeing me in most of those coliseums after those games.
I always made it. I always took pride and speaking to the cooks, speaking to the people that work at the arenas. I remember when I was in Houston, like the security, everyone used to have to park. I'm not even Yao or Trey or T-Mac or none of them guys. Like I'm just getting there, but for some reason, it's how you treat people. They used to let me park. Like the tunnel was, all the players would have to park all the way at the top. And they would let me park all the way at the bottom of the tunnel. And it was like a special little spot for me that he would keep for me. And all the guys would be jealous and wonder, like, who you think you are? What makes you think you special? They got to walk 50 yards to get to the tunnel. And I'm like right underneath, like I'm right here. And I remember one time a band came up, and a florist, they jumped out with all these flowers. And I was beeping my horn at him like, man, you got to move. This is my spot. And he looked at me like, man, go up there. You know what I mean? Like he pointed up top, like where the ball players normally park. And then the security said, whoa, hey, move your car. Like that's his spot. Move your car. And it had nothing to do with who I think I am or me thinking I'm better than anyone, but it had everything to do with how I treated him. And I mean, I'll give him shoes after the game. He'll start my car and get it warm. Well, you know what? I give him $20. I'll give him. I'm always asking, how's his family? How you doing? You need anything, man? He asked me for something. It ain't even no problem for me to even give to you. Because look how you even treat me. I don't even deserve the way you treat me. But you know what? I can treat you nice. I can like give you a good word. I can share a moment. I can give you 2-3 minutes out of my day to just hang out with you. And that's going to make your week. Because guess what? All the basketball players before wouldn't even give you a second. Yeah. And now it's like, when you go out your way for people, guess what? People sometimes will give you extra privileges that you probably don't even deserve, but your heart and your character got you that.
Yep. It's all heart, all character. And it was good karma because what you put out was coming back to you. And again, I've watched that for years, and I've always respected you as an individual. I admired your grind and your grit and your stick to itiveness to, always like a cat, you always landed on your feet and you got in with the franchise because franchises saw your value and they saw your worth. You're so humble that you won't speak on it that much, but I'm going to share it with everybody right here today on this show that we're blessed to have, your character and your heart on this show.
Thank you. I remember when I was in Austria, they always used to, they used to tell me like, come on, nobody goes to the NBA from Austria. Are you kidding me? And, but to me, I was like, I don't belong here. And it was nothing about, and I remember my first year, I signed a deal for $30,000. And I felt so disrespected. I felt so cheated, but I had no other teams calling me. So I had to swallow my pride. And, it worked out. We won a championship. It was a great experience for me. And then that following year, I said, I'll take it. If you give me 60,000, I'll come back. They laughed at me. Like, get out of here. Like, are you kidding me? We could easily find another you. Like, I've heard that probably more in my career, because the one thing I've learned about myself is I'm a jack of all trades, which means I don't stand out in really nothing. I'm not the fastest, but I'm pretty fast. I'm not the best shooter, but I can shoot pretty well. I don't have the best handle, but I have a pretty decent handle. So you'll never look at my game and say what he does great, because I'm not going to do nothing great, but I'm going to do everything good across the board. So sometimes that doesn't work in people's eyesight because they want to see Speedy Gonzalez. They want to see a 50-inch vertical. They want to see something that you do that stands out above all the other people. And that was never my story. So it made me look average. But what they didn't understand is I was a jack of all trades. They was just one ace. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So they was just one ace in their card game. I had jacks all across the table. So you may be better than me in that area, but overall, eventually, I'm gonna catch you, I'm gonna pass you, and I'm gonna defeat you because my jacks is gonna trump the rest of your hand. And so that was my problem, because on paper, I'm not special. You look at my analytics, you look at my stats, you might, I was pretty good the last 5 minutes for my career. For some reason, that was something that I always prided myself on, was the last 5 minutes of the game, I'm gonna be better than you. I'm gonna be stronger than you, and I'm gonna have more endurance than you. And
I love hearing it.
Yeah, so that was one thing. But in Austria, it was difficult because they always used to tell me, man, you're not going to the league. I don't know why you keep thinking that you could play in the league. You in the Austrian league right now. Like you playing on clay floors. Like, what do you mean? And so in my heart, I compared myself to the people that I was playing against. And I was like, well, I'm better than everybody in this league. So that made me still believe, you know what? I still maybe got a chance that I could play in the league. So then when I went to France, it was like, I'm better than everybody in this league. So you know what? Maybe I still can play in the NBA because nobody hasn't showed me that this is the level that I'm capped at. So when so it was like, my motivation was always based off the people that I was playing against. And I'm like, I'm better than all of y'all. I'm out playing everybody every single night. So you know what? I'm gonna keep pursuing this NBA. Nobody showed me otherwise.
See, I love that. And this goes back to 98, but I was brought in mid-season in Austria and I was coaching the team called Müllersdorf. You were with St. Pölten, and we had a battle. We had a battle, and I don't know how we did it, but we got you guys. We beat you by 2. And that's something that our guys were so proud of because we were growing and we were building confidence and we were getting better. So, I mean, we go way back. So I want to thank you because seeing how hard you played and how you had your team playing at such a level, because St. Pölten was a Euro Cup team. So for us, in that league, to be able to play with you guys and compete and then beat you, you made me a better coach because I had to play a game of chess to get my guys mentally prepared for your challenge, because you were coming as a dog every game.
Yeah, yeah, man, that was good times. I think that basketball has allowed me to travel the world. It
That's
allowed me
right.
to meet so many great people. You know, so many different business opportunities that were allowed to be opened up through relationships that was able to be built from the basketball court. You know, I'm so grateful. I wouldn't change nothing. You know, the way my career happened. I think that I think that I didn't get what I deserved out of the league, but at the end of the day, I got everything God wanted me to get out of it. And
There
so,
you go.
even though my flesh wasn't fulfilled, my spirit was fulfilled. And so, it got me to where I needed to be at this point in my life today. And I had to go through that stage in order to get to my character, who I am as a man, my integrity. All of these things was built on and off the court during those times, and the perseverance and coaches cussing me out and wrongfully cussing me out and all kind of things that I had to overcome just to be able to just want to play. And all I wanted to do was just play. I had beef with teammates, and it had nothing to do with basketball. It had everything to do with my personality. And it was like, why you wanna like fight when all we are is basketball players. We're not gangsters. We're not, you know, and that's the thing that bothers me, is that as an athlete, athletes get their influence from rap music. You know, majority of the athletes, they want to be like rappers, and it's like the weirdest thing. And most businessmen, they want to be like ball players. They want to be ballers. You know, they think when they get to a certain level of success, the thing that they emulate most is how basically basketball players live their life, especially if they can live their life on that level. And then you got the basketball players wanting to be like rappers, and they want to be gangsters, and they want to be tattoos all over their face, and they want to act, but they don't understand that all of this is short-lived, and it's all for a short time. And who we are and our purpose and who God is calling us to be, that's the longevity.
Preach.
And so this is what I had to learn, is that no longer will I feed my flesh, but it's now learning how to feed my spirit and feed my spirit, man. And so God allowed me to go through my career because he needed me to be here for him. He didn't need me to get caught up in the game and the success and the superstardom and losing my mind in that area, in that field, where he only gave me enough. You know, it was almost like in my career, he only gave me enough to say you got what you wanted, but at the same time, I can't give you all of it because you're ready to run like the prodigal son right now. And so he knew, give me a little bit, it's going to keep me, okay, Lord, I'm back on my knees repenting. Forgive me, Lord. I'm sorry. I'm back to you. And so I'm grateful for that, because life without the Father is incomplete, regardless of what success, regardless of what I do in this world, because my timeline is only for a short period of time. But afterwards, we're living in eternity right now. And if I don't take care of my eternity now, then I'm going to leave my eternity in the hands of maybe my Father saying, I don't know you. And I don't ever want to hear those words. There's two things I fear in this world more than anything. One is I'm scared to death of police. And I know that that's terrible to say, but I've probably been like that my whole entire life. Even when I was a child, you know, I was afraid of police, and I'm afraid of Jesus telling me he don't know me. And so I don't put myself in a position to where I gotta be entangled with the police. And I don't want to put myself in a position no longer where he may say those words to me. I want to know when I see him and my timeline is done and my days is over. I want to be able to walk confidently and boldly to the throne and know that the words that he had for me is, man, come here, boy, go on up over there. You good. I saw how you was doing it down there. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I was expecting to hear.
See, I love that. That's so eloquently put. I'm glad to hear you preach that. I'm glad to see you live that. You're a walking testimony to that. And again, we're blessed and fortunate. It's been a fun time. And Mike James, I admire you. I respect you, and I've got nothing but love for you. So during this COVID-19, here's a virtual hug to you, my man. I'm glad you and your family are blessed and well. Do you have any last words that you can share with our viewers and our listeners? Because, man, you have been dropping the knowledge. And so I appreciate that on many, many levels, with it being faith-based and driven. What last words can you leave our viewers with today, my friend?
Don't give up on yourself, and don't look for people. Don't look for hope in people. People might not be there sometimes, and sometimes you gotta. My favorite gospel song is "Encourage Yourself," and by the Tri-City Singers, and it's basically, don't look for nobody else to encourage you, because sometimes people not going to be there to to give you those special words. You have to learn how to get yourself up. You got to learn how to get yourself going. Don't lie to yourself. Be a realist with yourself, but at the same time, don't wait for nobody else to give you the encouragement or the motivation to believe that you can do it. No, it first comes from that person looking back at you in the mirror. And when you can get on the same page with that person, and y'all both say, man, we riding with this and we believe, it doesn't matter now what people, it doesn't matter if a person says you can't, it doesn't matter if they say you won't. It's just like when John Carroll told me I was the worst basketball player he ever saw. It had nothing to do with what he said. I just that's your opinion. I don't believe that, and I don't receive that. That's what you believe. And so that don't necessarily mean it's going to be what I'm going to say about myself. So don't even let hurt dictate and determine who you are. You allow all of those things to motivate you. You allow potential to motivate you. You allow what people say to motivate you, and you allow their pain and they hate to motivate you, all in the same breath. The biggest motivation is going to come from what do you say about yourself?
I love that. That's all the validation you need. And if it's faith-based and it's driven that way, you can rely on the Lord to guide and direct you, and good things are going to happen as long as you put in the work. So, Mike, my friend, stay safe. Continue to be blessed. I'm glad you and your family are well. And thank you so much for being so selfless to share this time with us today. It's been a wonderful ride and a great time. We got to have you back again, because we haven't even scratched the surface, my friend.
We did. And I know anytime you want me on, let's definitely do it. I appreciate you giving me this platform and being able to allow me to come on your show and be able to share a little.
Man, this has been it feels like it should be the power hour, baby. It's been fun. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Mike James, NBA journeyman, but kind heart, kind person, wonderful character, very giving, very selfless. And if you need inspiration early in the morning, go check him out on his social media platforms, because he's going to share some knowledge with you each and every day to start your day. So, Mike, thank you, and sure appreciate all that you shared with us today.
Thank you. Anytime.
God bless, my friend.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, that's Mike James. This is another edition of the Coach Scott Field Show. It's been fun. We're coming back tomorrow with an outstanding show. We're going to promote that tomorrow, but it's going to be a lot of fun with some people that we're going to have a reunion. So, ladies and gentlemen, be blessed, stay safe, continue to work hard, continue to plan your work and work your plan. Go get yours. Be blessed. Amen.